Hello guys, so this is a review of my new car, the 2016 BMW 420i XDrive. This is a completely unbiased review. Unlike a lot of people, I don't get personally attached to objects and I don't feel the need to defend it with my life, so I will be telling you a lot of things about the car that I don't like and things about the car that I do like. And it's more important for me to give a balanced review than for some reason have to be mega protective over a car that I've bought, because if I don't like it I'll sell it. It's as simple as that. I do have one massive regret about this car purchase. If you keep watching to the end you'll find out what that is. I hope you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and keep watching. Right folks, this is the BMW 420i XDrive. This one's got the automatic gearbox and it's the MSport with the MSport Pro pack. What makes this one a little bit different is it's mine, but unlike many people, I don't have that affliction where I can't say anything bad about things that I own. So I will give you a warts and all version of my thoughts on this particular car. This is the 2016 model. There is a newer model available, but I will give you the honest truth. Okay guys, so this one's the Gran Coupe version. So what that gives you is a little bit more room in the back for your rear passengers. It's also got a nice big hatchback boot, and it's a great shape and size, really easily accessible, and it's a piece of cake to lift things in and out. And I must admit the practicality with the boot really sold this to me, as well as obviously other bits and bobs. It was a super practical boot, and I in fact preferred it to the boot in say a 3 Series or an Audi A4, because you've just got that old-fashioned saloon boot where a big hatch makes a lot more sense for my typical usage. So this one's got about 181 horsepower and it's the four-wheel drive version, the XDrive. What that does, it delivers sort of 60% of the power to the rear wheels, 40 to the front, and then if it needs to change on the fly, if you encounter sort of rough conditions, if you're off-roading it, which I don't know why you would ever be, but certainly things like snow and ice, it's going to adjust that balance. This one's got the automatic gearbox. It's the MSport gearbox, but I think the BMW 8-speed automatic transmission is the best one currently available on the market, and I've tried most of them. I really love this gearbox and the way it responds and handles. I think it's fairly widely recognised as the best automatic gearbox. It's a big selling point for me and why I didn't go for a Lexus. A couple of other things. A, I want a decent infotainment system because I spend a long time in the car and I use the sat-nav a lot in my sort of business life. And it's much better in the BMW than it is in the Lexus, in my opinion. Second thing was the Lexus comes with a CVT gearbox and I absolutely am not a fan of them. They're not atrocious, they're not horrendous, but if you're someone that enjoys your driving, I would say there's a fair chance you don't like a CVT gearbox. And for me, just the overall feel is this is a car that someone that enjoys driving will enjoy driving, where some of the others you can be a bit, I don't know, some of the rivals are maybe a little bit pedestrian feeling, just in the actual drivability. I'm not talking about reliability, obviously Lexus have got that one nailed, but for me a big part of the reason I went for this over a Lexus was A, the fact I wanted four-wheel drive in this style of car, B, I wanted a decent infotainment system, and C, I didn't want a CVT gearbox. So this one's got the MSport suspension, which I didn't originally want, and then a couple of people told me that it's not as harsh as it used to be, and if I'm used to driving an Audi then I shouldn't find it too much of a problem. And in hindsight now, I've probably had the MSport suspension in other BMWs that I've hired in the past and not realised, because it's fairly, well, it's softer than I expected, so I probably thought, oh, this one must have the comfort suspension. This is actually really good. I don't think it's actually as firm as the comfort suspension was in my Audi A3 that's just gone back. And this is the MSport suspension. Yeah, for me it strikes a nice balance between sporty feel and still gives you a bit of comfort, which is really nice. Acceleration's not an issue at all. I mean, it's not the quickest car, 0 to 60's 7 point something I believe, which is more than quick enough to lose your license with, and it does pick up very nicely. You've got the flappy paddles for the gearbox as well, should you so desire to use those. With these 2-litre petrols you can also have them mapped. You get the gearbox mapped and the engine mapped, and basically turn it into a 420i, because they're the same they're the same car, they're just programmed differently. So you can go and do that, but really and truly all that's going to do is make me drive like an idiot, and I'm not going to do that because I need my driving license. I have programmed a few little tweaks into the car, just superficial things, nothing sort of drivetrain related, but a few superficial little changes, and I've got a video on that coming up soon. I'll use an app called Bimmer Code, so look at that, because there are quite a lot of things you can sort of unlock with a simple little app and an OBD2 scanner, so look out for that one shortly. So did my first real sort of long stretch driving it the other day. I did not massively long, but my first sort of proper motorway drive. I went down to Chichester for Goodwood members meeting, and I'll do a video on that soon as well. And I just loved it, to be fair. I thought it was really, really refined. It just handled the road very nicely. A few things of note with it. It's the steering. The steering is so unbelievably responsive, but for me, it could be a tiny, tiny bit firmer. And that's probably just personal preference, because I know other people with BMWs that like adore the steering feel, and the fact it's like, I'm used to a firmer steering feel, and for me, if it could be just a touch firmer, it wouldn't be a bad thing. But it's just unbelievable, the most tiny little movement and the car goes. And certainly if you point it around a corner with a bit of speed, it sticks like you know what to a blanket. I mean, the handling is awesome, it really is. There are a few things I don't like about the car, and the first one is something I don't like on majority of German cars. In fact, I hate it on the majority of German cars. Just the spec level you get. I mean, this is an M Sport, which is the top level of trim, and it's got the M Sport Pro pack on it, so it's got yet another pack added on top of that. Yeah, it doesn't have electric folding mirrors. They're electric mirrors, but if you want to fold them, you stick your hand out the window and pull them in. I mean, you'd get that on some fairly low-level brands, let alone a luxury brand like BMW. But they do like to charge you for options, don't they, the Germans? They love an option. Other things are, this has got enhanced Bluetooth, so you can play Bluetooth audio as well as phone calls, but that doesn't come as standard. Can you believe that? I mean, this would have been, I guess, about a 40 grand car when it was new, and it didn't have Bluetooth audio as standard. I mean, that's bonkers. Luckily, this one's got it, and that is something else you can code in yourself if it doesn't have it, as long as you've got a certain type of head unit. Wireless charging. There's no wireless charging pad in this car. It was an optional extra and new. I'm going to buy a little device that you stick in here and deal with it myself, because I just love the convenience of it. But added to that is, so far I've only found one USB socket as well. And you would think in a late 2016 car, you'd get more than one USB socket, especially in a BMW. If you were saying, oh, my Dacia's only got one USB, it'd be kind of like, well, what do you expect? But this is quite high up the BMW model range, and it's got one USB. I've got a cold, by the way, so sorry if I'm a bit croaky. Haven't got my normal smooth, luxurious voice. Hopefully you'll be able to enjoy my dulcet tones again in the not too distant future. But for the meantime, just keep listening to this nasally fat bloke. Shooting a bit of B-roll footage earlier, by the way, ladies and gents, and you get some very, very odd looks when you're standing in the street talking to what appears to be a hedge, which does have a camera in front of it, but to the passerby it looks like it's a fat man in front of a car talking to a hedge. New experience every day with this YouTubing lot. What else don't I like about this car? The dials. They're old school analog dials, which is fine. I've got no real issue with that. Although having just come from two cars with digital dials, it feels weird, but I mean, it's totally fine. I haven't got a problem with it. What I don't particularly like on BMW dials, which I've always had this problem, is like the speedo. It's like 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. You don't have the increments, and as a lot of speed limits in this country, like 30 and 50, it just, I don't know why they don't just stick it on there, 30 and 50. It's been a gripe of mine with BMWs for years, and it remains that way. Not the end of the world, but You know, these are the kind of little things that can be a bit of an annoyance. Luckily, one of the things I do in that programming video, I've programmed the digital speedo onto the dash. There's a tiny little screen on the dash, and I've got that displaying the digital speed, which I personally prefer. Not everyone does, but I do. MPG wise, the other day on a run, I think I got 37 from it, which, considering it's a reasonably quick 2 litre petrol turbo with 4-wheel drive, I didn't think that was too bad at all. Most of my time in this car is going to be spent on the motorway, and I must say it handles the motorway really, really well. It just soaks up the miles and it's really comfortable, but you've got bit performance if you want it. The coupe version of this has almost no legroom in the back, and it's a bit of a joke for seating 4 people. You can do it, but they won't be very comfortable. This is far more generous in the back, but it still does have that sloping roofline. So, you know, bear that in mind. If someone that's 6'4" probably wouldn't have a great time in the back of the car, but for my kids, it's absolutely perfect. And for a normal size adult, it would be perfect, to be fair. There is a middle seat belt for some reason, but I've got no idea why, because I just don't see how you could fit a human into that 5th seat. You could fit a small child into it, but of course they have to have a car seat with a booster or something, and I mean it's just not going to happen. So I don't know why they would sell this car as a 5 seat, because it's just not. It's a 2+2. There's just no way this is a 5 seat car. I mean, I guess you could get 3 people in the back if you sort of levered them in with a big shoehorn, but for more than about a 2-minute drive, I mean, they're going to come out of it with probably a permanent disability, I would imagine, because it wouldn't just be uncomfortable, it would be blooming torture. So super quick summary for you then, guys. Engine's fantastic, happy with the MPG, automatic gearbox is perfect, brilliant storage space in the boot, room for 2 adults in the back but not 3. And the downsides on it, I guess, are the fact that German cars just don't come spec'd with some basic things like lumbar support and enhanced Bluetooth, which my car's got, but that was an optional extra on it at the time, I guess. And only 1 USB port. I mean, why? 2021. There is a cigarette lighter, so I can put something for a charger in there, which is absolutely fine, but, you know, just an annoyance. But the really great things are the way the car drives and handles. I mean, it's just everything I wanted it to be. So I mentioned that one big regret that I've got about this purchase, and it's where I got it from. I got it from Stratstones in Hull, and I have to say their service was nothing short of appalling. They failed to deliver the car a couple of times. The first time they informed me about 25 to 7 the night before it's supposed to arrive, and the second time they didn't even ring. They just, when I called to ask where it was, they said, oh, the delivery driver didn't turn up. And the person I was dealing with there wasn't the friendliest and didn't know how to deal with complaints. I've done a lot of customer service training for people over the years, and I have to say, you don't do it that way. Customer service is about empathy, about communication, and they didn't seem to have a great deal of that at all. I have had bad service from some other main dealers, a bit more local to me over the years, and I think you just expect more from a main dealer, but the experience I had from Stratstones has been rubbish, I have to say. In fact, one of the things they said they were going to do to the car as a compensation for the poor service was to put the Guard X on it, which is their equivalent of like ceramic coating. That hasn't been done. I spoke to the guy there on Friday, and I think he claimed it had been done, but it just hasn't. You know, the water doesn't bead on it at all. It just clearly hasn't been done. And they were going to look into that on Friday. No one's come back to me yet about that at all, so that's obviously something they hope is going to just go away. They did send me some new number plates. The front number plate was cracked and delaminated, despite the car having gone through a 140 odd point check. And there are various other things. I won't go into full detail on this because it's not a witch hunt by any means, but I was lied to. They did let me down in terms of service, and the communication was really poor. So my advice would be, if you're going to buy a used car and you're going to buy it from Stratstones in Hull, is keep on top of things, keep making phone calls, or choose to get it somewhere else maybe. Just remember, if something does go wrong, they might not be massively helpful. Certainly not the first line. When you get up to management, There seems to be more reasonable people you're dealing with there. So there you go. It's really disappointing, especially for a car that I paid 20 grand for. You expect a bit more than that. I hope you liked the video. Please do give it a thumbs up, and please check out my website, notaguru.co.uk. You've got all the links to my videos there, and you can also see how you can support the channel. You can buy me a coffee, or you can use my Amazon link, and all those kind of good things. Do check out this video. YouTube thinks you're going to like it, and so do I. Check it out next. Thanks for watching.